Hi friends, welcome to spring. This is a yin-yang practice that welcomes us to the spring equinox, a time of year that there is balance between the daylight and nighttime hours. A practice of yin-yang also invites balance through the systems of our body and mind. Half will be active and half will be slow and much more still. Spring is the time that we finally start to shake off some of the dormancy and the hibernation of winter and to consider what seeds we're going to plant for the season ahead, whatever it is that season might bring. There's a beautiful quote that I come back to every year, every spring, that says, "No winter lasts forever. No spring skips its turn." Whatever it is that awaits us in the season ahead, might we be open to growing into it, growing into ourselves. I invite you to start this practice making sure you have a couple of things available, particularly for the yin portion of the class that we are going to try to marinate into some stillness. So cushions, blankets, yoga blocks, if you have them at home, are wonderful. And when you're ready, meet me in a seated position, and we'll begin with an even and grounded breath to welcome spring. Sit up tall, soften your shoulders, loosen off the muscles of your jaw and your face, and clear a full body breath. This next couple of moments is about coming into ourselves. Without trying to change or fix anything about your breath, really start to notice the way that it flows and how it feels. And if your body's natural response is to begin to fill out the breath, do that in a way that it feels good and natural, but completely unforced. From Chinese philosophy, the concept and the symbol of yin-yang is completely balanced. Darkness and light, masculine and feminine, strength and surrender. And so that's what we'll work through today through the practice. And we can start to see the fullness of that even through the simplicity of our breath here in the beginning. We fill and bring in new, fresh life. And then we release it and surrender, letting go. One side is not complete without the other. Notice the balance between the length of your inhale and the release of your exhale. And intuitively work between the sides of your breath like dance partners so that each have an equal amount of time, an equal amount of emphasis and attention. And for those of us that it's in our practice, or if we're cultivating it into our practice, I would invite you to see if you could put a very gentle and subtle sound quality onto your breath. And this is a mechanism to filter the breath through the base of the back of the throat. And just gently starting to allow the breath to slide in and out, creating this very light and yet very potent oceanic sound. You're welcome to keep your hands grounded on your lap, but if it speaks to you, you might choose to draw hands together in the home of the heart. And if you do that, perhaps taking a very soft bow of your chin to your chest in symbol of letting all of the swirling thoughts of your thinking mind drop for this time into the greater wisdom of your body and your heart. And from this place, consider what simple seeds you might plant here for the season ahead for yourself. Good. When your exhale comes, release your fingertips down to your sides. Lift your chin and open your eyes. We'll wait for an inhale and take a big, open, energetic lift of our arms. And then when your exhale comes, turn your palms over and swim down like the air resisted you. Very simple and linked. Every inhale will lift you high, side stretch, arm stretch. Every exhale swims down like you just very gently have to muscularly push through the air. About 5 more. Follow your breath. If it feels good, close your eyes and allow the pairing and the balance between the moving of your body and the movement of your breath to really become a partnership. Inhale to invite in something fresh. Exhale to allow the natural release that must come. 2 more. And last time. Great. When your inhale comes next, elevate your arms straight out of your shoulders. And when your exhale comes, we're going to turn to the right. So your left hand is going to reach across to try to grasp your right knee. And your right fingertips will set to the earth behind you, high onto a finger stand so we can support the growth and length of our spine as we revolve our belly and our chest open toward the right side. Just a gentle twist to begin, so make sure your breath remains full. We'll take 1 more. Good. When your inhale comes, turn your chest forward, reach your fingertips wide. And then when your exhale comes, change sides. So your right hand comes across to find your left knee, and your left fingertips find the earth behind you to support the length of your spine. Continually lift with every inhale. And beautifully offer revelation into the twist with your exhale. 1 more. You wait for your inhale, open arms wide, chest forward, and exhale, fingertips down to the floor. Lean on back so you can release your feet out in front of you. Feet are going to be flat to the mat, toes facing forward, and hands can either hold to the front of the kneecaps, or if it feels better, tuck them back behind the space of the crook of your knees. When your inhale comes, we'll lift our chest, open our collarbones, maybe softly lift the gaze. And then when your exhale comes, you're going to roll back onto your sit bones, draw your chin into your chest, and feel a soft rounding of your upper back. Forward and backward like this. Inhale, lifting to a space of an open seated cow. And then exhale, pushing the shoulder blades apart as you round the back, chin into chest. Inhale to lift. Exhale to roll. Good. Follow your breath for 3 more, allowing each one to express itself into whatever depth feels best for you. And again, following the breath over trying to find symmetry and choreography with me. 1 more. Good. When your inhale sits you all the way up nice and tall, you're going to give yourself a space to hug your knees in, roll onto your back body, and rock and roll up and down your spine a couple of times. Just loosening off the muscles of our back. Now from here, we're going to come all the way up to sit. So you might just rock back up onto your bum or even turn off onto your sides to come sit. But if you're feeling playful, inviting in that fresh energy of spring, you might try to rock and roll all the way up to your feet, onto your back, onto your bum, and up to your feet. Maybe that worked out, maybe it didn't, but it's nice to have a little fun along the way. Stand your feet into the mat and outer hip distance. Pick up and release your toes a couple of times so that we're sure we have a connection of the inner and outer edges of our feet. Stand tall from the base of your feet, drawing a current of soft muscular energy up through the legs, into the center of your low core. Spread out through your chest, lift up high through the crown of the head, and clear a full body breath. Coming back to that balanced breath cycle, lift up high, inhale, and then dive slowly with an exhale, flex through your knees as much as you'd like to, forward fold. And fingertips up onto your shins, inhale your chest up halfway, lengthen your heart and the crown of your head away from your tail, and then use an exhale to drape and fold. And back up to stand with an inhale, push through your feet, reach your arms high. And when your exhale comes, collect hands back into the center of your heart. Again, find some rhythm. Inhale to lift high. Exhale, slow dive. Keep your chest open and your back long as you fold. Halfway up with an inhale, lengthening heart away from tailbone. Exhale, release and fold. Good. Back up to the sky once more. Inhale, lift up, stretch up. Exhale, bring your hands back to the center of your heart. Good. Last one. Inhale, lift high. Exhale, slow dive. Take your time, forward fold. Good. Following your breath with an inhale, lengthen up halfway. And then exhale, drape back into your fold. We're going to let our fingertips support us. Please step your right foot all the way back and be quite sturdy with this back leg. So give yourself some space to wiggle the leg back, sink into the juiciness of your left hip. And we're going to stay really high onto our right fingertip. If you have blocks, you could always elect to put that under your right shoulder. When your inhale comes, you're going to lift your left arm to the sky. So opening the chest and the hips into this revolved lunge, spiraling our belly toward the space of our upper left thigh, softly drawing the shoulder blades together on the back and taking this whole top shoulder and looping it onto the back away from our ear. Take one more big, brave, beautiful breath. And when your exhale comes, bring these left fingertips down to the floor so you can pivot your right foot to the stance of warrior two. Right toes face the long edge of the mat and arms are going to lift in an open windmill shape forward and backward, allowing us to sit into the strength of our legs, softly spiraling the femur bones open, opening the space of the front of our groins, the fronts of our hips. Breathe into this here. We have one more. We're going to hold steady through the strength of our legs. Bring your front elbow or forearm to your front thigh, and your back arm can either reach straight up out of your shoulder or all the way up over your ear. Of course, if this is bothersome to your top shoulder, bring your hand to your hip. It gives you that same open space of your chest. And we're going to breathe here. Now, obviously, we've been in some variation of a lunge for a couple of moments here, so your legs might really be starting to feel it. I would invite you for the last 3 breaths to find whatever your comfortable edge is. So maybe you're going to leave your elbow on your thigh, or maybe you'll drop your fingertips to the floor as you extend here for one more. Good. When your exhale comes, both hands come down from your front foot and step back quietly to a downward facing dog. Thank goodness. In downward dog, pedal and play. Make sure your hands stay widely spread, and we're really working to find length and growth from the plug of our inner knuckles and our inner finger pads all the way up to the very, very, very tip of our tailbone. Deep, loving, full breath in. Deep, loving, full breath out. One more. Good. And then keeping your hands plugged, use an inhale, reach your right leg up into the sky behind you. If it feels good, you can bend your knee and even start to peel your hip open. And then look up towards your hands so you see where you're going, and you're going to bring your right foot all the way toward the top of the mat. Now from here, we're going to do a funky action. So you're going to take your right foot and heel toe it 1 or even 2 over to the left side of the mat. And then you're going to take your back foot, your left foot, and cross it. So if there was an invisible line down your mat, your feet are on opposite sides of the invisible line crossed. Now, if you have blocks, luckily I do, so I'm going to use them. You might want to bring them into access under your fingertips. What I'm going to have us do is begin to squeeze and straighten this right leg as much as is available until you can start to feel this gorgeous pull all the way to the outer edge of our calf, up the back of our hamstring, to the outside edge of our outer hip. And if it's possible, you're going to softly start to tack your right hip crease back until you can feel all of this. Still not feeling it? Lengthen your heart further forward. And if it's possible, you could even welcome yourself to hinge through your hip crease and bow. We have one more big breath, friends. Stay with it. Good. Softness back into your knees, and we'll redirect the feet back into a regular lunge. So right foot works its way back to the right, left foot works its way back to the left. Again, you can continue to use your blocks or ditch them. Fingertips down to the floor. You're going to step all your weight into your right foot and see if you can lift your left leg into the sky, standing at the top of the mat. Now make sure you feel sturdy. If it's possible, you're going to bow the crown of the head to the floor and lift this left leg to wherever it makes sense. Last big breath. Good. When your exhale comes, step your left foot beside your right. Use an inhale to lift your chest up halfway, lengthen through legs, through chest, through heart, and then drape and fold. Push through your feet, arms to the sky, big in breath, stretch up. Exhale, bring your hands back through your center and pause. Big full breath in. Big full breath out. Let's find the other side. Sweep high, inhale. And then dive gracefully with your whole breath. Exhale, take your time. Get halfway up with an in-breath, long and full. Exhale, release. Let your fingertips support you. You're gonna step your left foot all the way back. Again, your left hand's gonna stay to the floor, so either tented under your shoulder or you could welcome yourself to use a block. Your right arm is gonna reach up to the sky in this revolved lunge like we took on the other side. Really try to find a length and spaciousness from your left hand, however it is that it's connected, to your right fingertips. So the chest is spread, the arms are active, and from this space that we sink into the right hip, we can slowly revolve our rib cage, our belly, our chest all the way to the sky. Last breath, big and full. Good. When your exhale comes, bring both hands down to frame your front foot. You're gonna pivot again, left heel down. You're getting your front heel to intersect your back arch, and when you're sturdy, spiral your arms forward and backward to warrior two. If it didn't land perfectly, no problem. Life doesn't land perfectly, as we know. So heel toe until you feel sturdy, and then sink into the strength and the heat of the pose. A soft lift of the belly to support low back into this shape. Sitting into our heat, one more. Good, you're gonna try to keep it steady. Front elbow finds front thigh. Back arm is either straight up out of the shoulder, onto the hip if you need a pause for the shoulder, or reaching fingertips all the way over top ear. Side angle should lengthen all the way from the blade of your back foot through to this whole lengthening top side of your body. Like we're this beautiful human geometry. And I'd love to invite you to find your edge for the last 3 breaths. So you could stay here, or maybe bring your fingertips closer toward the earth, continuing to spiral your left shoulder over your right. Good, look down, bring both hands to frame front foot, back heel's gonna lift. And we'll step back to downward dog. Again, wide spread of the hands, pedal if you wanna pedal or be still. Lengthen from every space of your arms, your shoulders, decompressing all the vertebrae in your back body as you lift your tail high. When you're ready to, you use an inhale to lift your left leg up to the sky. If it feels good, bend your knee, open your hip. Look up toward your hands to the best of your ability, left foot all the way through to the front. So again, there's a little setup here. You can take your left foot over to the right side, 1 or 2 spaces. And then take a little step with your right foot to cross. So if there was an invisible line, we're cross to opposite sides. I always see this as like a speed skater. If you have blocks, go ahead and use them. If not, don't worry about getting the legs all the way straight. We're gonna start to straighten out through the left leg, and again, lengthen through the space of our low back so we can really start to feel the potency of this from outer ankle, up through the calf, to the outer hamstring, to the space of our outer hip. Draw your left hip crease softly back. Lengthen your chest softly forward. Breathe 2 more. Fantastic. Flexing back through both knees. Realign the feet so the left foot's on the left, the right foot's back to the right. You can use your blocks or just bring your fingertips straight to the floor. You're gonna push all your weight down through the left foot and stretch your right leg into the sky at the top of the mat, standing splits. And I don't mind if you're gonna keep your gaze forward or give yourself the space to bow the crown of the head to the floor, lifting the right leg high. Breathe where you are. When your exhale comes, lower the toes to the earth. Come halfway up, and then take a soft fold. Good. Flexing through your knees, let the upper body drape. You could even welcome yourself to hold your elbows or start to bring a soft sway through the upper body. See how that feels? Long and even and full with the breath. Try to direct it to the back edge of your lungs, into the space of your low back. Finding balance even in this upside down place of inhale to exhale. Reminding ourselves the balance that comes this time of year as everything works to bloom back into spring. No winter lasts forever. No spring skips its turn. Pause back into center with your sway. You're gonna keep your knees really nicely bent so your fingertips can easily touch the floor. If they cannot, you could elect to bend knees more or use a block. You're gonna put your right hand with the spider tented finger right under your nose. And with an inhale, you're gonna lift your left arm open toward the side. So the palm turns out and the shoulders have the opportunity to slide shoulder blades together on the back. If it's possible, you might even start to lengthen this left leg long as you lift all the way up the left side through the left fingertip. Breathe here 1 more. Good. With the next exhale, look down, reflex through left knee, come through a fold. Change hands so your left fingertips come beneath your nose, and with knees staying soft, inhale and start to reach right arm to the sky. Again, you might find that just naturally your right leg starts to straighten, so see how that goes. Pulling up through the hip, pulling open through the arm, through the shoulder, through the collarbones. Breathing space everywhere. One more big breath. And with an exhale, turning down, release, forward fold. Your fingertips are staying to support you on the mat. Please heel toe your feet away from one another, at least one more space. Turn your toes away from one another like a duck, heels plugged in, toes turned out. And then when your exhale comes, we're gonna lower ourselves down through a squat. So yours can be quite high, no problem. If you wanna just have elbows to thigh bones, you can keep your fingertips to the floor and let your heels pop, that's no problem. If it's available to keep your heels grounded, we're gonna slowly work into the depth as we sit the weight of our hips down to our heels. Some of us are even going to lift and gather the heart up toward the thumb knuckle of pressed hands. Maybe you'll close your eyes. Breathe a breath or two here. Awesome. When your exhale comes, spot your landing. Make sure you can hold yourself with your fingertips and come all the way down to sit. I like to straighten both my legs out long, give the legs a little waggle. And then we're gonna give ourselves the opportunity to start really nice and slow with this next posture. So you're gonna keep your right leg long. You're gonna take your left foot and cross it over the extension of your right leg. We're moving into our yin portion, the slower portion of our practice. So definitely make sure you have a couple of things that can help support your body should you like that. Perhaps sole of the foot to the floor, leg crossing, brings an instantaneous feeling to the outer edge of the hip. We're going for that, so if you're experiencing that, be cool with the fact that maybe quite easily you come into the feeling of the posture. We're gonna wanna hold this for about 2 minutes, so if it feels like, this is just sustainable here, this is your bus stop. Go ahead and pause, get off here. Friends who want a little bit more, you can hold onto your ankle, start to draw your heel close to the outer edge of your right hip so that we have a little bit more of alignment of knee to knee. For a lot of us, this creates a bigger feeling to the outer edge of our hip, and you can play with drawing your shin bone further forward, keeping the knees aligned, or tucking the heel closer in toward the side of your hip. It'll change the sensation, it's different for each of us. Option. If you'd like, you could cross your lower ankle. So the right heel and ankle come to the outer edge of the left hip now, completely overlapping and crossing knees. I would love if both sides of your bum stayed grounded to the floor. If they're not, you could use the corner of a blanket under the inside edge of your pelvis to help lift and prop your sit bones by a couple of inches. That could make all the difference. Otherwise, you could choose to just simply re-extend this leg long or find a different grounding. From here, we're gonna settle into some stillness. Sitting upright for most of us is plenty. For some of us, we like to come in a little bit deeper, so we put the weight of our upper body forward over our front thigh. Some of us can really support ourselves into a true fold, so if that's possible for you, you could even put a block out in front, support your head as you come on down. We're gonna breathe where we are. We're at least halfway through now, so close your eyes and reconnect to the balance of your breath, attempting to make your inhale and your exhale equal, making them seamless. If you're unsure about the length of your breath, maybe begin to count the breath. Notice how many seconds it takes to fill up with an inhale. And attempt to let the same amount of seconds pass as you release your exhale. So since we're just entering these slower yin postures, we'll give ourselves just 3 more breaths here. And when you're inhaling inhale comes, slowly sit up really nice and tall. And what I'd like you to do is lean back onto your hands and see if you can take this left shin and kick it over toward the left edge of the mat. And we're going to find some lift of our hips and some readjustment so we can bring our right shin along parallel to the top edge of the mat, our left shin parallel to the long edge of the mat. For some of us, that's really tucking the knee right into the lower edge of our foot, and you might even consider just putting your right hand down onto the floor to support you here. For some of us, this is plenty. It's quite sensational, so I would love you to just stay where you are. If you're having any pain in either knee, you could choose to skip this and do something completely different. If this is feeling sustainable, you're going to play with lengthening this to what we call 90-90 pose. So you're going to make sure that your right shin stays at this 90-degree angle out of your hip to the top edge of the mat, and begin to kick your left shin backward until there is a 90-degree crook in your left knee. Now for some of us, we often take this 90-90 pose and turn it over right away to a pigeon posture. And if you are a die-hard pigeon practitioner and that's something that you're just really craving in the depth of this yin, go for it. The rest of us are going to stay here with 90-90. You can keep your right fingertips to the floor, or you could softly tuck your right sit bone a little further underneath you. That's going to open up a little bit more to the inner edge of the groin and the outer edge of your right hip. And you might start to bring your both fingertips, out in front of you. Now, if this is working, some of us are quite open in the hips, and you could even give one last kick to your right knee, sliding it slightly backward, and you may or may not decide to walk your elbows down onto the floor. I'm quite open in the hips. Obviously, a posture like this is quite available for me, but please just find an edge that feels real for you. Each of us have gifts, and each of us have limitations with how it is that our body moves and performs. So find the place where you can be without pain, but definitely with a ripeness of sensation that you could focus in on. We're going to soften our eyes and breathe the fullness of our breath for nearly 2 minutes here. And for some of us, we find that we really do indeed have to focus in on the movement of our breath so that we can maintain in this space without trying to flee. The interesting thing about our physical edge is it's often a moving, floating thing. So after being here for a moment or so, you might find that the edge opens, or in fact, the edge asks you to use some intelligence and to back off. And one is not better than the other. It's simply giving ourselves the opportunity to witness and self-study. And the purpose here isn't to punish ourselves or to force the body into anything. We're trying to find this mechanism of balance between all that movement, the movement of our blood, our heart rate, into this stillness, this place of surrender, these things that we know we don't have control over, but we can sit with a patience. We can sit into a place where we can be open to what comes without having to control every aspect of it. If you've lost it, come back to the balance of your breath for just a few more breaths here. Great. When your inhale comes, you're going to walk back up onto your fingertips. Please don't rush yourself. And hopefully it'll feel good to lean back off to the right hand if you aren't there already, and sweep both legs all the way back around to the front. I like to lean back onto my hands, bend both my knees, widen the feet enough that we have some room and mobility to sweep and windshield wiper the knees, the hips, side to side. I like to find inner blade edge and then outer blade edge of my feet as I sweep and swish. And then when you're ready to, you're going to kick both legs forward, and we'll try the other side. This time we're going to keep our left leg long to begin, bend a lot through our right knee, and cross the right foot over the extension of long left leg, coming through the cow face posture or cow face variation first. All the options are there, so I'll run through them a little bit quicker this time, but remember that your right side and your left side might not match, and you're gonna just pay attention to where it is you'll stop this time. Foot grounded is beautiful, or pulling on the heel and balancing on the blade edge of the foot, bringing it closer to the hip, balancing knee on top of knee. Knee on top of knee is this crossed alignment that we come to a depth of. You might choose to slide your shin bone forward or backward, depending on the sensation it creates for you. If you want to cross the lower leg, that's definitely your prerogative to explore. See if you can balance the hips without having to lift up and drop back in the pose. That's quite hard on our ligaments, and we don't really need to be that hard on our ligaments. And sit up really nice and tall. And if you decide that you want more depth and you want to bring yourself into it, please crawl yourself forward until you feel the weight of your upper body helping to find this sensation into your lower body. I didn't mention it, but if you needed to straighten the lower leg, that is a really, really good idea. A yin practice has 3 principles. It's the idea of coming into an intelligent edge in every posture where we feel a depth of sensation, but it's not pain. So it's not stabbing, it's not shooting, it's not burning, it's not tingling. What we're doing with these postures, it really affects the connective tissue of the body even more so than the muscular tissue. And so we need to be mindful of how it is that we open that tissue. Once we find an edge that we can maintain, we look to observe stillness. And stillness doesn't mean that we can't move, especially if the intelligence of our body says, please move. The stillness just means that we endeavor to explore what it is to be still, even in our discomfort. Not pain, but the open awareness of our growth and discomfort. And then in each yin pose, we hold for time. And the time is this magic that really helps to open the spaces of our body and, as a result, open the spaces of our heart and open the spaces of our mind. Direct your breath to be full for just 3 or 4 more here. And when your inhale comes, walk yourself up if you've been folded. We're going to lean over toward the left and unravel this top leg so that we can kick our right shin along the long edge of the mat. Whew, it feels good to come out of these poses sometimes. So we're going to bring an even quality of our left shin to the top edge of the mat, and you might choose to nest your right knee. You might choose to slide it slightly back. You can lean on your hand or slide it even further. If you're feeling a comfort in this pose, it's asking you to really explore the depth. Try to tuck your sit bone underneath you so that you can softly start to round your right hip point forward. This will give a bigger opening to the space at the front of your right hip flexor, and you may or may not be able to bring fingertips or even elbows to the floor in front of you. The beautiful thing about the way that yin yoga works is that it also connects to systems of acupressure, the same systems that acupuncturists use. It stimulates various energy lines and meridians in the body, helping to clear the way for the movement of energy that we need through various moments and seasons of our life. So as we move into this spring season, we're really looking to open some of these meridians of our sidelines and through the outer edges of our hips. Allow yourself to sink into this posture in a way that it feels sustainable for you. So again, really paying a keen, close attention to how it is that your breath is moving and where it is that your attention tends to be. Notice if anything comes up that is counterproductive. So again, those feelings of an arising of pain, they're not helpful to us. In yin yoga, we're looking for this sweet spot. They refer to it as the Goldilocks posture. It's not too little. It's not too much. It's just right. Loving ourselves up with the balance of this breath. We're going to be here for just under a minute now. So if you really breathe with a depth and an awareness, consider how many breaths that might take you. Final full body breath here. Use an inhale to walk up onto your hands if you've lowered. Please bring your left hand back to the left side if it isn't there already, and sweep your right leg all the way back around to the front again. Again, widening our feet, hanging back onto our hands, and if it feels all right, begin to sweep and swish. Being really stimulating for the hips, so just giving our backs, our hips, our everything's a chance to reset. And then when you're ready, without a hurry, please meet me on your back body. We're going to roll all the way down and make sure we have lots of space to lie down comfortably on the mat. And all our bodies are different, so when you get here, you might need a moment to hug in or stretch out or do any of the things that feel natural to you to decompress your spine and land with care. When you're ready to, we'll fold our shoulder blades beneath us and send our arms open wide in a capital T shape. Bend your knees so your feet can stand to the floor. And we're going to explore a variation of a twist here. We're going to start in some depth and then peel back depending on how this feels. I'm going to invite you to take your your right knee and cross it over your left knee, like you were a seated lady or a gentleman. And then using your left foot, you might slide the hips ever so closely toward the right side of the mat, so both knees can tip and fall in a twist to the left. Now right away, I'm going to talk to my friends that this feels very uncomfortable. Please consider uncrossing your legs if the cross doesn't work for you right away from the very beginning. Friends that might find a sustainability, but it's not quite there, you have choices. So you could choose to prop something under your knee, your ankle, your shin, or you could even choose to split the difference so we're uncrossed a little bit. This might even slide your foot up to be grounded onto the floor, or change into a way where we have a little bit more support with a blanket beneath us. If it's possible to drape into this pose now with these twisted roots, I invite you to simply surrender every muscle of your body. And the beautiful thing about being on the ground is it is quite grounding. And spring can be this incredible grounding time because after this period of hibernation inside, life begins to arrive again through our environment, inviting us to get out and often put our hands in the dirt, clean up yard spaces, walk in the park or in the forest, soak in the sunshine, feel the soft breeze on our skin. Surrender into this space here as you come back to the balance of your breath. We'll stay for just 1 minute more. When your inhale comes, help lift your knees back up through center, uncross if you've remained crossed, and rebalance your hips. We'll take a soft change to go to the other side. So when you're ready, we're going to lift and cross our left knee over our right. Keep your arms widely spread, direct your hips softly to the left, and let both knees fall toward the right side. Keep the chest wide, the shoulder blades really folding beneath you. Make sure your face is soft, your hands are soft, your neck is soft. Anybody who wants to deepen this ever so slightly could always choose to turn their nose in the opposite direction toward left hands. Prop if you need to prop, uncross if you need to uncross. And come back into the awareness of your breath. Every exhale is an opportunity to allow the weight of your body to sink and be held by your mat. Every inhale brings the balance of remembering that there is beautiful, vibrant, fresh life moving through you. With gratitude to experience the balance of all sides of things, we'll again sink into the full space of this pose for 1 minute more. Really come into feeling the intuitive or maybe even counted balance of your breath through that minute. When your next inhale comes, use it to lift and guide your knees back up through the center and cross somewhere along the path as you rebalance your spine, hips under shoulders, and then hug your knees in towards yourself. It might feel good to stay in a really static hug, knees drawn in, or you might begin to spin circles with the knees, letting this translate all the way down to the muscles of your low back, muscles around the space of your hips, muscles even into the front edge of your belly. If you've only been spinning one way, if you are spinning, go the other way for a couple. And then however it makes sense to you, by rolling off to the side or pumping your legs lightly and coming all the way up, we're going to sit together for just a moment. And from this space of sitting, I'm going to invite you to be comfortable. So if you want to sit on something, I like to sit on a folded blanket. That might feel nice. Resting down into the hips, closing up through the eyes, softening your shoulders down. We're going to experience moving pranayama breath work for just a moment here. Give yourself some space to sit up really nice and tall. Loosen the jaw and clear a breath all the way in, all the way out. This pranayama English translation is called box breath. It's an equalized breath. It will have 4 parts, and each part will have 4 seconds. We're going to inhale together for 4 seconds, and then suspend the breath for 4 seconds. We'll exhale the breath from our lungs for 4 seconds, and then again, suspend the breath out for 4 seconds before we continue the cycle. And we're going to do this together 5 times. Again, deep breath in, cleansing breath out. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Exhale. Follow your natural rhythm to inhale and exhale. One more here. Good. With as little effort as possible, please invite yourself back down onto your back body and locate anything that you would like for just a couple brief moments of relaxation. You can lie yourself in any way that it makes sense. Onto your back is the classic way that we lie, but if you would prefer to lie off onto your side, no problem. If you're on your back and you have things at home to support you, either under your knees or behind your spine to cover your body, welcome yourself to those things. And we'll surrender just for one last moment here, adjusting to release our body into the mat, releasing the effort of our practice, releasing the grip that we've had on our breath through the entire time of our practice. Take a final in-breath to invite the new, fresh promises of spring in. And exhale to surrender any control of what will be. No winter lasts forever. No spring skips its turn. Please be held by this simple moment and just allow yourself to rest and to be. The rest of our Savasana is an incubation period. It helps us integrate all of the hints of the practice, be it physical, mental, spiritual. If you have the time in your day to continue to rest for a couple of moments more, I would really empower you to do that. And if from here you're moving off into whatever your next activities might be, please do it in a way that you might remember the potency you have to come into the freshness of a new spring and plant the seeds that are valuable to you. Let them be simple, but let them be potent to what it is that is important to you and meaningful to you. From my heart to yours, namaste.